And we are back here with another video today. Welcome to the Football Expert. My name is Rackley Ruby, and today we are doing a UNC football prediction. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, like button down below as well. Comment your thoughts and opinions as well. And well, as we get into today's video on UNC, we got a lot to talk about. Bill Belichick and the squad going into year number 3 with North Carolina. A lot of pressure on Bill Belichick to see what happens in this season. Can he get over the proverbial hump that he just kind of has found himself in while being the UNC coach? There really has just not been as much drive as there could be to be able to, just be a better coach, I should say. And I'm sorry, year number 2, not year number 3. And as I get into this, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Like I said, help me reach my goal of 7,000 subscribers by the start of the college football season. And let's get into this. So we see with North Carolina, they brought in the grad transfer, Billy Edwards Jr. from Wisconsin to be their quarterback. Very interesting move. Honestly, before looking at this video, before researching this video, did not really know much about Billy Edwards because, well, there's not much to talk about with him. He did not really get a whole bunch of reps at Wisconsin last year. Went 113 yards, 43.8% completion percentage, was previously at Maryland before there. In 2024, he had about 2,900 yards. And where is his touchdowns? 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 5 rushing touchdowns. A decent season, but by no means a special season. So I think it's a interesting player to see what happens at North Carolina because I don't think that he's that good of a quarterback. I don't know what Bill Belichick sees that I don't. But I don't love the Billy Edwards pickup, but we'll see what happens. So with that, first game of the season is a neutral site game against TCU in Ireland. Very interesting game. So TCU first game. And here's my thoughts on this one. I like Sonny Dykes. I like TCU, and I like where they're at, and I like where they're going. But a game in Ireland is always a game to watch out for because at the beginning of the season, a game all the way across the world. It's always an interesting thing to see what happens, just because you just never know. There's just odd things that happen. So I am going to go with TCU because I'm a little bit sure of what TCU is versus what I think North Carolina is. So I'm going to go with the win for TCU, but we'll see what happens there because I think North Carolina could very much win this game because it's one of those funky games on the road. But at the same time, don't get me wrong, I could very much see North Carolina losing this game as well. Bye week as they get back from Ireland. Then they have a home game against ETSU. Easy win here. I don't think Eastern Tennessee State is one of the premier programs now in the FCS level. At least they didn't have as good a season as they have been having the past few years before it. So they're a good team in the SoCon, but not the greatest, much less a team that can compete with a Power 4 team. Then a road game against Clemson, and this is where the schedule starts to get really tough. And here's the problem that I have. Road game against Clemson. This is a game that I'm not 100% sure on with either team. I favor Clemson because it's on the road. I'd favor North Carolina if it was at home. So I'm going to give Clemson the win and the edge, but I could very much see them winning this game. It's not a sure thing. But I definitely could see North Carolina getting a win here with Christopher Zena at quarterback for Clemson and 2 coaches that really need a win here. So I'm going to give the win to the Tigers, but it's a close game once again. Bye week, then Notre Dame. I have an easy win here for Notre Dame. I don't see too many issues for the Irish coming to Chapel Hill. I think that Notre Dame just offensive wise is going to have a little bit too much firepower for defense that I haven't really gotten into too much. But you have 4 transfers on the defense. A couple of good transfers. Derek McDonald, Peyton Sleeman, both good transfers. A couple more that are probably backups that are transfers. But I like to see where this defense is. They definitely have had their fair share of struggles in the past with last season. So it wasn't a terrible last season for the defense. Well, yeah, it kind of was. So I think that there's that. So I have a loss there against Notre Dame. Then a road game against Pitt, and this is where I start to get into some issues here, just to see what North Carolina would look like in a best case scenario. And even then, I just feel like Pitt is just a better coach team. And I know I'm saying that about Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches of all time. But Pat Narduzzi, don't like him at all. He's a Notre Dame hater. And yeah, he's not a very likable guy unless if you're a Pitt fan, I feel like. And even then, I know a couple Pitt fans that don't particularly like him. So I have that as a loss for the Tar Heels. Defensively, I think Pitt is just going to be a better team. And then Eli Heidenreich at the quarterback position, I think is a good quarterback that could see some improvement there at Pitt. So a loss against Pitt. Then a road game once again, this time against the Blue Devils. And I think that this is just another loss in the rivalry against Duke. Last year, it was a closer game, 32-25. Darian Minson no longer on this Blue Devils team. But I just like Manny Diaz. I like what he's doing there a little bit more than I like what Bill Belichick's doing. So I'm going to give the win to Duke. But don't get me wrong, very much could see Duke losing this game if things don't turn out right at the quarterback position for Manny Diaz. If it's just not clicking, because they did lose a lot at the wide receiver. They lost a lot of seniors that he inherited from Mike Elko. So I think that that's in a good position, but we'll see. I trust Manny Diaz a lot more than most people. I think that he's a good head coach, and an underrated head coach at that. So then you have a home game against Syracuse. This is where it's kind of 50-50 to me. Syracuse, terrible season last year, absolutely horrible. They got beat by Notre Dame 70-30. Or I'm sorry, not 70-30, 70-7. Blowout game. One of the worst losses, I think, if not the worst loss in Syracuse history. Like, just a terrible season for Syracuse. Just not much that you could point to. 3-9, 1-7 in conference. Those 3 wins came all at one time. UConn, Colgate, at Clemson. And then after that, they fell apart. But that's where I have to say something. They fell apart because Steve Angeli went out of the Clemson game. And Steve Angeli, I think, is going to be back and going to be good. And with Steve Angeli there, I think that trend continues. So I think that when Syracuse looks at this schedule, when Syracuse is playing the schedule that, unlike last year, starts off a bit easier. Instead of playing Tennessee, they play New Hampshire, California, at Pitt, at UConn, at Virginia. By the time they get to North Carolina, I think that this may not be a bad Syracuse team. So I have that as a win for the Orange, loss for the Tar Heels. Home game against Miami, back-to-back. I have this as a loss once again. Miami is just a better team, and I don't think anybody would disagree with me. Even the diehard North Carolina fans, I don't think they'd disagree with me. So I think that Miami is just a better team in this matchup, and I think that Miami is a team that just, well, they're starting to become a team that could reload possibly, not just have a good season, take a step back, have a season of 1 or 2 years that are step back, then go back to the high level. And I think this is a team that very much could reload this season. So get a win for the Hurricanes. Road game against the Huskies. I have this as a win for the Tar Heels. I think that this is a pretty easy win for the Tar Heels because Jim Mora, the former UConn head coach, is no longer there. So I think that this UConn program is in a much different spot with Jim Mora going to Colorado State. So I think UConn, they're just not in a good position. They don't care about football, and that's fair to them. So win for the Tar Heels. Then a home game against Louisville, and very interesting game here because I just think that Louisville's the better team. And there's no doubt in my mind that Louisville is the better team. They did not play last year, but I think that just Louisville overall just plays like the better team. Then you got a road game against North Carolina. Very interesting road game because last year, if you remember this game, 17-16 overtime victory for the Cavaliers. Got away with one, honestly, over North Carolina. I honestly was surprised at the end game result. Not that I thought North Carolina was going to win that game, but that North Carolina kind of blew it, I feel like. So I have a win here for the Cavaliers. I think that it's a much more dominant win, especially with it being at home for the Cavs. Then after that, you got a a home game against your rival in NC State. And it's a very interesting matchup because, as everybody on this channel knows, I harp on the fact that rivalry games are like nothing else. You just never know what's going to happen in a rivalry game. Good, bad, or ugly, you just don't know. So with that, I have a loss for the Tar Heels, but I could very much see a win here. And I know that's something I've said a lot in this video. I could very much see a win here, but I don't. I just don't think North Carolina is a great team right now. I just don't. So my final record's 2-10. I'm sorry, North Carolina fans. I know that's going to probably annoy a lot of you guys, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know why you think North Carolina should be better, or if you agree with me, let me know. As always, hit one of the 2 videos down below and be a playlist of all of my college football predictions. So hit that as well. Hit the subscribe button. Help me reach my goal of 7,000 subscribers. And as always, have a great rest of your day. Bye.